Hello and welcome to the Basketball Addicts Podcast. And today we have a good
we
one.
bleed wine and gold.
Yes, sir.
We bleed wine and gold.
Yep. Today's a unique podcast. It's going to be really short. It's going to be a podcast that's only going to be talking about one thing. We're going to be having to take on one topic, and that is the Donovan Mitchell trade. Yes, Donovan Mitchell, after waiting 2 months, 1 month, 1 month and a half. We've been waiting longer for Kevin Durant to get traded. Whenever that happens, you guys will want to check out one of these segments like this one, because we'll have a short podcast about Kevin Durant whenever he gets traded as well. But the Donovan Mitchell trade went down, man, and Cleveland Cavaliers and the Utah Jazz made a deal. And Chris, what are you thinking about the trade? I'll give you the specifics. The Cavs got Donovan Mitchell, and the Utah Jazz got Colin Sexton. It was a sign and trade. I think it was $72 million for 4 years, if I remember correctly. Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, which was their Cavs first-round draft pick, the 14th pick in the draft. 3 unprotected first-round picks, one in 2025, 2027, 2029, and 2 pick swaps in 2026 and 2028. So they basically own the Cavs' best draft capital from 2025 to 2029.
All I gotta say is that Danny Ainge is the GOAT GM. He does this. He doesn't make a trade unless he knows that he's going to get a lot back. Remember in Boston, when he was making those trades, he was getting all these picks, and what they turn into: Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. This is what those picks turn into. Now we have to think about this for a second. What star is coming from overseas in the next couple years? Victor Wembanyama.
Next draft, yeah.
Do we see what's happening here? They are in the sweepstakes. And what Danny Ainge did is, you may see okay, wait, he's coming next year. So what does the 2025 and 2027 do? That gives him leverage over the league because he has first round picks. And he can always move Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton is a commodity, whether we want to believe it or not. He is a top-tier role player, a great 6-man off the bench on a championship contending team. That's the type of caliber player he is. I see him as a Lou Will kind of player. So he's a commodity. So you move Colin Sexton maybe and picks, you could possibly get that first-round pick because if you move it to the right team. A lot of teams are trying to get in on the sweepstakes right now. This player, they say he's great. He's phenomenal overseas. Everybody wants him. He's going to be a legitimate first-round pick. Out of this world.
Yeah,
if that is the case, and I'm thinking what I'm thinking, and if everybody is thinking what I'm thinking that Danny Ainge just secured his spot in that sweepstakes.
Yeah, he definitely
because
does
of the
have
future.
A lot of ammo.
He has a lot of ammo. He has a lot of trade value. You got rid of Rudy. Boom, that's clear as cap space. You got rid of Donovan. That's clear cap space. But you also got a lot in return. How many picks did you get for Rudy? We have to think about that too. He has a lot of picks. You don't got players. He has picks. He has a lot of ammo. And what do teams want? Teams that are in the rebuild want picks. Teams that are they're about to trade their legacy away, like Portland, want picks. They want picks. He has all the firepower, all the ammo. He basically right now subtly has the league in a vice grip right now because he can do whatever he wants with picks. He has a lot of ammo for that. A lot of trade ammo. I mean, moving Colin Sexton, maybe Lauri Markkanen. I'm if you decide to keep them and add something to it, that's a great building spot, for the Utah Jazz going forward. They're both young, you know what I mean? Both very talented players. They're a great building spot. And once you add that key, that number one player, then it'll go somewhere. But if that's not where you're trying to go and you want to move that, you have a lot of ammo to get marquee players to Utah now because teams want picks. As soon as they enter the rebuild, you could possibly bring Dame here. You send some picks to Portland. He may not want to go, but it's not. That's the thing. That's the price of the NBA is when it's not when they're not free agent. You could dangle picks in front of a team and they're like, well, I guess I got to take it then because what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Teams like Indiana, you can tangle picks in front of them and get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Teams like the Lakers don't have ammunition like that. They have one player that nobody wants and a couple picks. That's like it. Like they keep trying to here. I got these 2 picks and it's Russell Westbrook. You want anything for it? Like they're basically trying to play. what they're like, how you're at lunch, right? And they're like, listen, I'll give you my milk if you give me your cheeseburger. I'm like, that's not quite equal, sir.
No, it's not. No.
That's what they're trying. That's what the Lakers are trying to do right now. But Danny Ainge is like, listen, I got this cake right here for this cheeseburger. And they're like, I kind of like cake. I kind of like cake. I'll eat at home. Take the cake. That you see what I'm saying? This is kind of the power and the leverage that Danny Ainge has right now with all the picks and players. He has young talent and picks. That's all every team wants.
Yeah. Are you going to talk about Donovan Mitchell going to the Cavs, or do you want me to talk about the Utah Jazz side of it first?
Yeah, it's fine. We'll do that.
Okay, I'll talk about the Utah Jazz side of it. I was expecting more. I was expecting a home run because it's just Danny Ainge, right? He has Donovan Mitchell, who is on a team that has good supporting cast, is good enough to be the one on a championship team. I'm going to disagree with a lot of people out there because not every team's built the same. Look at the Miami Heat, for example. Jimmy Butler, if you switch Donovan Mitchell for Jimmy Butler, they'd still be going to Eastern Conference Finals. They'd still make it in the NBA Finals when they made their run and lost to the Lakers. Like, there's some teams that are really deep that they just need one guy that's their go-to guy. And if they have depth, then you don't really need a superstar at the top tier at the number one on a championship team. And, trading a guy like that who's 25, 26, around that age range, who still has room to grow, who is solidified, I expected more. And from the Utah Jazz side of things, Colin Sexton is not a bad player. He's going to be solid. I think he's going to be a solid point guard over there. They're going to have him and Taylor Horton-Tucker chilling. And I'm not a big Ochai Agbaji guy. I said that in the draft. He's like 22, Wesley Matthews type of guy. Like, he doesn't have a ton of upside. All he does is shoot threes and play efficient basketball. 6'6", 6'5". Not anything overly special. So even though he was a recent first-round draft pick, I'm not really buying into him hugely. Lauri Markkanen is a solid player, right? But like 3 first-round draft picks for a team that now has the Cavs, who are stacked with young talent. I'm just not expecting to have any of those picks be lotteries. Like, what if every single one of those picks is like the 25th pick in the draft, 24th pick in the draft, 22nd pick in the draft? That's not a ton of value. It's hard to hit in the late 20s of the first round. So, it's like you got traded. It says first round pick, so you're like thinking first round pick value, but when you really think about what the team is moving forward, and I expected them to at least get an all-star or a borderline all-star in return. And they were trading with the Cavs, and they somehow didn't get Evan Mobley or Darius Garland back in the trade. Like, I'm surprised that the Cavs were able to keep those two because, Donovan Mitchell is much more valuable than both of those. And the fact that Danny Ainge wasn't able to walk away with one of them, he was able to walk away with the guy who's going to be coming off the bench next year. I think he pulled off such an amazing trade for Rudy Gobert that I was expecting like ridiculousness, and it's just average for Donovan Mitchell. It's an average trade. It could have been a lot better. So that's the way I'm feeling about it. On that side, so that we can move over to the Cavs side, unless you want to react to what I said.
Okay, I kind of want to react first. So you said it's kind of an average trade. I see where you're coming from, because but like, you have Colin Sexton, right, who's like probably more likely not going to play. Like, they refuse to even give him like the time of the day, talk to him or anything like that. He's coming off an injury, So they're just. I'm not saying that Danny Ainge won. I'm saying that he has the picks. That's leverage. I'm not saying that the Cavs. Like, the Cavs, it's. I don't think there's winners and losers in this one. I think there's winners on both sides. Winners on both sides, because I think the Cavs getting Donovan Mitchell and Danny Ainge getting picks. That's still. Like, You're right. You
I
know,
couldn't
first round could
disagree with you
mean
more.
pick 30, could mean pick 25, because considering how the Cavs are built right now and they're championship contenders at this present moment, but still, I think that there's still a win. I mean, like, there's some GMs out. I mean, there's some GMs out there who don't know, you know, the ins and outs because they've been fleeced by Danny Ainge before, you know. So like, he could dangle it in front of some of those GMs, and they're like, "Oh, a first round pick, sure." You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure it's a sucker born every couple minutes. I just feel like, you know, it's a sucker out there who's going to willing to take those picks, not really noticing that the Cavs are out here, you know, destroying the Eastern Conference. You know, it's just like, I feel like, how do I put this? It's like, I'm not disagreeing with you, is what I'm getting at. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that I believe that it's still winners on both sides. Yeah, I think maybe the Cavs might be the biggest winner, but but the Utah still is a winner in this because of the picks. We still have, like, how many picks did he get for Rudy? You know what I mean? Like
5.
He got a lot. He got 5 picks from Timberwolves. Those picks are going to be valuable because are the Timberwolves going to do well this year?
They're going to be not as good as the Cavs. They're not going to win as many games as Cavs. The Timberwolves.
If they do, I'll buy a Rudy Gobert jersey.
People are going to think they are, but they're not. They're not going to win more games than the Cavs.
I'll buy a Gobert jersey.
The reason
probably on this.
The reason why is after this trade, would Lauri Markkanen start when you have Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen? Would Lauri Markkanen start?
No.
When Colin Sexton start?
No.
So you traded bench guys for a superstar.
But they were starters before. They would have been benched now.
They were starters when we were winning 30 games. They weren't starters on playoff teams. Like, Colin Sexton could probably be a starter on a playoff team, but both of Colin Sexton would be above average, high, you know, a good starter, but he's never going to be an all-star. And Lauri Markkanen's like a solid starter, but like none of them are superstars. It's just like they got no young all-star potential talent. This guy's got upside. Colin Sexton can probably max out at 22, 23 points per game, being like the man, but like actually having a good team around him, he's a solid 18. A solid 18. Not that bad. It's not. I'm not ripping into Colin Sexton. I'm just saying that, like, if you switched out Donovan Mitchell for Jamal Murray and imagine the Nuggets getting this package for Jamal Murray, you'd be like, what the fuck are the Nuggets doing?
Yeah.
I mean, but Donovan Mitchell's a better player. I mean, Jamal Murray had one playoff run, but Jamal Murray averages like 20 points per game in the regular season. Even though he steps it up in the playoffs, and I know you love the Nuggets, but like Donovan Mitchell's that guy. Donovan Mitchell's like 27, 5, and 5.
Let's disagree to disagree on this one because I'm not going to get off the Nuggets ship. I'm not going to jump down and disrespect Jamal Murray like that. After he left that man crying in the middle of the floor, we not doing that.
He has Jokic on his team. Donovan Mitchell had Rudy Gobert on his team. What are we talking about?
Yeah, Gobert.
Yeah,
Gobert.
Yeah, this is an excuse.
I'm gonna do that every time now because of that comment I've seen. Gobert, say something. Gobert. I want you to comment again. Gobert.
The English police. We have English teachers liking our TikToks.
It's Gobert.
All right, that's a good way to transition to the Cavs. What are you thinking about the Cavs situation then?
Now, Cavs, I'm loving the team. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, and I was trying to yell it loud enough, but I couldn't get over it. We bleed wine and gold. I want season tickets. I need a jersey.
I've been watching a lot of games. So League Pass.
I'm watching every Cavs game. Not that I wasn't before, but I'm going to watch every Cavs game like this, like LeBron on the team. Like, ooh, we got the chance.
Changes everything.
It changes everything. Like, we were a playoff contender next year. This just, boom, we are championship contenders now. Championship contending team with Donovan Mitchell. I need a jersey. I need season tickets. I need a signed autograph ball. I need all that. I'm gonna paint my whole room wine and gold now.
I can't wait.
Like, I'm just excited for the seasons now because you don't understand, as a Cavs fan, as somebody who lives in Cleveland, Ohio, you don't understand the turmoil and the heartache that we constantly go through with sports teams.
We have had a sucky organization for a very, very long time.
In all sports.
I don't even think the LeBron era was a good organization. I think the last time we had a good organization is when we had Mark Price and Brad Daugherty. And those teams were well built. They were maximized what they could do. They did a really good job in the 90s. Since then, it's just been LeBron carrying and very, very badness. Just so bad.
Yes. Like, as a Cavs fan, as somebody who's born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, this feels good.
Yeah.
This feels good.
Yeah.
Dan Gilbert, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it.
No.
He was like, we're going to win a championship without LeBron James.
Dead ass, bro. He might win one after he retires.
Sour grapes right now in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Sour grapes. But yeah, it just feels good. It's like a breath of fresh air right now because you're just like, wow, we actually have a chance without LeBron. Like, finally, we have a chance. Because, like you said, 90s, that was a great team. You know what I mean? They made it all the way to ECF to get, shut out by Jordan. But they played a good series that game. I mean, then you had, then we had the LeBron era from 2004 to 2009. I mean, at 2007 to 2009, that was a good era of the Cavs, but it still wasn't greatly one organization. It was just LeBron plus a ring light, some deodorant, air conditioner, and telephone, and not even an iPhone, an Android.
They thought Mo Williams was enough.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And a couple pairs of boots. But and then he leaves, goes, wins, comes back, and then we get Kyrie and Kevin Love. Oh, we finally got some marquee talent. You know what I mean? And then, we won a championship and the city's on fire. And then, Kyrie leaves and they were like, oh man, what are we doing now? We still got LeBron though.
Oh my God. And then they traded for Isaiah Thomas and they broke that up into Jordan Clarkson and a bunch of these Larry Nance. It was terrible. Oh my goodness.
It was terrible. It was terrible. And then, they lost. They went to the finals with LeBron. LeBron put him on their back and, went to the finals. And then he went to the Lakers. And they were like, back in the rebuild mode. And then we got Colin Sexton. It was like, okay, we got some chances. And then we got Darius Garland. And I was like, okay, it's starting to look a little better. And then Evan Mobley. And then we was like, okay.
Yeah.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Jared Allen,
Karis LeVert. We was like, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
We're getting somewhere now. Isaac Okoro, we had KPJ for a little bit. We was like, the team's looking nice now.
Yep.
And then, lo and behold, who would have ever thought that we would get Donovan Mitchell? I thought Donovan Mitchell was going to the Lakers. I thought he was going to the Lakers. I was like, he's either going to the Lakers.
I thought he would go to a high-tier team, like a big market. I thought he was going big market. I'm surprised he went to Cleveland.
I'm like, maybe they just had, they had whatever that package was and the talk they had. I mean, woo, thank you. Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
You can get in rebuild. You can try to get in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, but we'll take this win now. This is us now.
Yep.
Later on, you can be like, well, we got you, but right now we win, and that's a big thing for Cleveland because we've been sucking in sports for a very long time. It's very emotional. I don't like to talk about this. We lost the World Series to the Chicago Cubs.
Oh,
and I watched that game and I almost cried.
Oh my God, that was the same year we came back 3-1. The Cubs came back 3-1, and it was terrible.
Was like Cleveland can't have nothing. Cleveland can't have nothing because everybody was like, "That's what y'all get for beating the Warriors 3-1." I'm like, "Oh, we can't win. We not allowed to win.
Let us enjoy our moment, okay?
Right? We not allowed." Everybody was like, "That's what y'all get." Exactly. It was like, "That's what y'all get. That's what y'all get." See, y'all shouldn't have came. That's what y'all get for coming back on the Warriors 3-1. Like. That's what happened to you. I'm like, well, we just want another team to win. Shoot, we had a football team that won one game.
Yeah.
One game.
Yeah. The football team is really terrible. It's good now, though.
We haven't been to the playoffs in 2 years.
Yeah.
Please. It's gonna feel so good for the city of Cleveland. Like, you don't understand. I live here now. I'm just electric. It's like, I'm happy. I can talk about this all day because this just feels good to me.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
I could feel the electricity in the air on this one. All right, reaction to the Donovan Mitchell going to the Cavs, man. As a Cavs fan, really excited.
We bleed one and go.
First things first, that GM and the head coach, I talked last year about how good JB Bickerstaff was, and I think this GM really proved himself with this trade. So I feel like those two, and drafting Evan Mobley, those two, this is your core 5 to 10 years, unless they do stupid shit over 5 to 10 years, we're keeping them, right? You better keep these two. So, about the Donovan Mitchell trade to the Cavs, going to the Cavs in particular, I'm extremely high in this trade. I love this trade because this is a perfect fit. Because you understand basketball is about fit. And Darius Garland is a 3-point shooting, efficient, good passer, high level passer who is not the kind of guy that's going to force his shot. Not the kind of guy that's going to try to drop 30. But he's going to put up a darn near perfectly efficient 19, 20, and 10, 22 and 7, 24 and 8. That's his stat line. He is a great number 2, number 3 on a championship team because his shot creation from the 3-point line is extremely hard to replace and extremely hard to find. And Donovan Mitchell's not that guy. Donovan Mitchell can do that a little bit, but most of his work is, man, I am special going downhill. They do different things. Donovan Mitchell's that guy. Donovan Mitchell is going to be dropped in 27, 28. Donovan Mitchell 26, 27, 28 in the playoffs even more, right? Experience in the playoffs. His experience in the playoffs is going to help this team because the Cavs have none. This roster has none because there is a learning curve in the playoffs for young guys. Young guys usually take a little while. They got to go to the playoffs 1 year, 2 years. Think about the Toronto Raptors when they had Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. It took him 2 or 3 years to start going to Eastern Conference Finals because he just needed to get used to the playoffs and learn what the playoffs like because the playoff is different than the regular season. So that's my example. And those two just fit so perfectly together that way because they do different things on the court, but they're so special together. So, that's your 1 and 3 or 1 and 2 in the future. And, their defensive lack gets completely negated when you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen in the back line. You could have Chris, me, and some random YMCA player running the guards and have an average defense in the NBA with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen behind them. So they're so special. Evan Mobley can be an NBA defensive player of the year type guy because he can switch. He's like Anthony Davis defensively. He's a freak, right? And Evan Mobley has really high tier all-star power forward potential. He could be the 2 in the future. He could be the dominant power forward offensively and defensively that this team needs in the interior force. And they got Karis LeVert, who's another guy who can smoothly average 15 to 17 with efficiency on this team now because the way the team is built. And I really believe that this team's going to be a top 4 team in the East regular season wise. They might not win in the playoffs yet because they might need to go through one playoffs where they don't win and then they learn what the playoffs like, and then in the future 4 years from now, 3 years from now, I think they're title contenders. I think you have a big 3 on this team. I think you have a solid center, you have a solid small forward. They got good backup defenders like Isaac Okoro, and This team's special. This team's got special things. They got high basketball IQ guys off the bench. They like playing good basketball. They like playing team basketball. That was a real team basketball last year. And this is a team when you have a big 3 like that's championships. That big 3s win rings. Like that, you have to have it in the NBA. And all these guys fit. It's rare to find that, and they're all young. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's the oldest guy. He's like 25, 26. There's guys like 22. Evan Mobley's like 21, 20. Like, this is not going away. Like, this team's going to be in the play of things for the next 5 to 8 years in a legitimate manner. So you got to keep this core together. Let them learn together. Let them grow together, and this team is going to be special. They're going to be top 4 this year, regular season-wise. Yeah, that's my take.
I just love that.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
It feels so good right now to be a Cavs fan.
Yeah.
It really does. Like, oh my gosh.
You need a guy.
To the playoffs.
Yeah. You need one guy that can dominate. Every team needs a guy like that in the playoffs, and Donovan Mitchell is going to be that guy. And they might run into issues. What?
I don't want to put this in the universe at all, but like, what if he's the type of player who's like, well, I didn't want to go to the Cavs in the first place. I'm not going to play great.
I'm sure that they came to some sort of. They already talked about that already before he got traded.
I'm sure that. I'm just like, I hope that's not the case. Like,
yeah,
I'd be heartbroken.
Yeah, and another thing is, people might be like, oh, like, how are they going to pay all of these guys in the future? When you have guys on your own team, you can go into the salary cap and go into the luxury tax, like the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors kept everybody in-house, so they were able to pay all those great players and keep them all on their team because they were able to go in the luxury tax. And, Dale Gilbert's shown before that he's able to go to luxury tax when we have LeBron, right? So I don't think it's going to be an issue, even if, like, oh, my calculator doesn't say we can keep all of them. They're going to go on the luxury tax, okay? They're going to keep all these guys. Everybody's in-house. So that's an advantage of not chasing free agents. This team's going to be able to keep this core.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of, what's the guy in Phoenix? I can't think of his name right now.
Devin Booker?
The big.
DeAndre Ayton?
There'll be a lot of DeAndre Ayton type of talks, like where he's gonna be like, well, like they can offer them money, but the Cavs have to come back with like $1 more, and then he has to immediately accept it. So it's like as soon as they rebuttal it, that he has to accept it.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah, we own Darius Garland and Evan. Both of those guys will be max guys. Both of those guys will be max guys.
Definitely.
Darius Garland will be a borderline, but I think he'll get it because he's young and he has this potential. This team fits, Chris. They fit. I
want to see it. I want to see it happen, man. I want to see it happen.
Yeah. They might need one of these guys to try to defend more, maybe Karis LeVert because he has athletic gifts. But, it's going to be special moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to say or you want to cut it here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and cut it here.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to our podcast. It was a reaction to the Donovan Mitchell trade. Yes, again, we will be talking about a Kevin Durant trade whenever that does happen. You guys will find a podcast about that because it's going to be huge news. This is a fun one. We're so glad that he got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, it was so crazy. I was so happy. We really appreciate any of the likes, any of the comments on our podcast, any sharing, any ratings, anything you guys do, subscribing, anything you guys can do to the podcast. We appreciate it. Help with the growth of the podcast. And anything else for you to say?
Nope. So we're all good.
All right. Well, I'm Jason Collins.
And I'm Chris Muhammad.
And we are the Basketball Addicts.
Peace.